Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today I have another very exciting knife to take a look at, and I think, to the best of my recollection, I think I'm the first one to give a real full, in-depth review / overview of this. I haven't had it very long. I just got it yesterday, and I really wanted to push this to the front of the line because the moment I heard about this knife, I got really super excited about it, and it was one that the aesthetics, the deployment features, the design, everything about it spoke to me. It's from a designer that I really enjoy his work, and really happy to bring this to you guys. And I want to thank Vosteed for sending this my way. This is not available in stores yet, or it's not available for purchase yet. It'll be available on their website. I got all that information linked below. I believe you can pre-order it now, so all that good stuff is down there for you to take a look at. But let's hop into this. I thought I wanted to take a different approach to this one because I was so excited about it. I wanted to get it to you guys as soon as I could, but I also wanted to get some time actually handling and working with the knife. So we got one day in, and I think that's pretty good enough. A lot of the knives that I give you guys reviews on, it's usually anywhere from 2 days to 4 or 5 days. So a little short on this one, but it feels really good. I don't think I'm going to have any issues with it down the road. If I do, you guys will always be the first to know. Let's pop in here and take a look at what we have. And another thing that I really want to express that I really enjoy about Vosteed is this right here. This metal or tin case that they send the knives in. I love that because it is a very good source of protection for the knife. So I think that's great. It also looks very nice. I like their logo, and it's kind of just... it's just a cool tin. So very nice to keep for, you know, if you ever want to do something with it, keep things in it or whatnot. If you're a collector, you'll like it. So there you go. Now here's the knife. We're going to pull this off to the side, and we'll take a look at everything else that's in here because it comes with a lot of stuff. It comes with this pretty sweet patch. If you're into patches, you would probably really like this. It is nice and attractive, and there you go. The Thunderbird. Kind of telling you what this is. So if you guys know what the Thunderbird is, you know what we got here. But if you haven't heard of the Thunderbird yet, you're going to be really glad you're watching this video because I got to tell you, the lines and aesthetics on this one are pretty good. Let's take a look at everything else we have in here real quick. What is this? Is this a tattoo? No, it's just a sticker. Okay, I thought that was like a temporary tattoo, and I was about to put that on my bicep. That would have been funny. Another sticker here. And then, of course, you have the Vosteed support, Vosteed.com, 120-day full money-back guarantee. I've heard some pretty good things about their customer service, so nice to know there. And then, of course, you have kind of the information card. We'll touch on all that in the review. So let's get all this good stuff out of the way, and let's hop into this guy because it is... oh, it's something. What we have here, as you know, is the Vosteed Thunderbird in all its glory, in all its unique lines, and all the deployment features, which we will go over here in just a second. But first, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 8.2 inches, with the blade length coming in at 3.48 inches, and a blade width at 1.10 inches. Blade thickness on this guy is 118 thousandths, with that S35, there it is, S35 VN steel. We have kind of obviously I'm going to go with a Tonto style blade shape, a compound grind. We have a hollow grind here and a flat grind up towards the tip. We have a handle length at 4.72 inches. So this is a much longer knife than I thought. Before I got the specs on this, I was expecting it to be the exact same size of another knife, which you'll see in size comparisons here pretty soon. We have a handle width at 1.03 inches. And a handle material of Topo G10. Now, there's going to be 2 variants of this to start out with. What you have right here is the red Topo G10 with the satin blade. There's also going to be an OD green Topo G10 with a black wash blade, which I got to say, man, oh man, I might be getting a second one of these because that one looked, there's just something about that OD green and the Topo G10 and the lines on the blade that just really pulled it all together. I loved that model of this, or that version of it. But this one is also no slouch either, like the satin lines. And I will say, the red Topo G10 in general, I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I have so far. So that's been a pleasant surprise. Of course, we got that button lock locking mechanism with a very unique lock, which we'll touch on here in just a second. a user of a right or left-hand tip-up carry, a weight coming in at 3.77 ounces, designed by Yu Dong. And if you guys don't know who Yu Dong is, he also goes by Dr. EDC. He designed for Kaiser. He's also the designer of the Kaiser Cormorant. So by saying that, a lot of you probably know who he is if you didn't know directly. So very talented designer, has come up with some excellent designs in his time, and this one may take the cake. In terms of manufacturer, I don't know, and I didn't see it on the website, so I don't know if Vosteed is manufacturing their own or if they're going through another manufacturer to make their production runs. I'm not sure. I'll do a little more digging. I'm very curious about that. But price on this guy is coming in at $129. So definitely, you know, it's that price to where, you know, you better be getting a lot for what you're paying, because right now the game at under $100 is it's fierce competition for a knife under $100. You're expecting some super great quality, fit and finish, and when you get into that $100 to $150 range, it's got to be up even more. So we'll touch more on my thoughts on all that later on in the review. But next, let's take a look at some size comparisons, because this is a nice size knife. It is not small, and I was expecting it to be a little shorter. Let's go all button lock theme today. We'll start out with a couple American-made beauties. We have the ProTech Mordax, and we have the ProTech Malibu. As you can see, it is actually longer than both of them, which really surprised me. This is the first time I've seen it lined up with the Mordax, and I did not think it would be shorter or longer than the Mordax. The Mordax it comes up just a hair behind the Thunderbird in overall length, which is very surprising. And then two more for you, and really what I think are my best two comparisons in maybe not size, but just overall design language, fidget factor, and just kind of what comes to mind when I think of the Thunderbird and what could compare to it. Definitely the Spyderco Smock, and of course, the Kaiser Cormorant, designed by Yu Dong, Dr. EDC as well. And this is what I was expecting the Thunderbird to be. I was expecting the Thunderbird to be like the exact same size and length as the Cormorant, and it's not. It's considerably bigger, which is no problem with me. I'm actually a very big fan of that. Even though I do love the Cormorant, I'm always up for a nice size knife because I don't have a lot of knife restrictions in southern Michigan, and yeah, I enjoy me a good mid-sized knife, which is exactly what we have here. And what we also have here is one badass blade. I love this blade. I love the overall blade shape. I love the lines on it, and I love the edge. The edge is coming in at 19 thousandths. And I will say this hollow grind here, it's an okay hollow grind. It's definitely not bad, but it's not quite as deep as you like to see some hollow grinds. You can definitely feel the actual, you know, the hollowness, the hollow grind aspect of it. But it doesn't get ridiculously stupid thin, but 19 thousandths is plenty thin enough, especially when you're talking an EDC knife. So it is a very good edge, relatively slicey and an excellent cutter. And of course you have more of a beefy tip here to handle a lot of good heavier work with a nice little thick robustness up there that'll hold up very well for you. And then you have the aesthetics of just the swedge up top and the fuller that kind of blends into the swedge. And I really love just the shape of the blade cutout. It works really well with the blade. And kind of the thumb ramp here. It's just a very, very, very attractive blade shape, in my opinion. You got the choil down here that works very well. Obviously works really well in unison with the thumb ramp. So a lot of good things going on for this. And I really like the blade markings too. They didn't go real annoying and put anything up here where they shouldn't have. They kept everything minimal and close to the top of the handle, which I like. And they got it all up there. And I'm glad they put Thunderbird there too. I'm glad they didn't try to like squeeze it in there or do something that would just really kill the vibes. I'm okay with blade markings like this. I granted there's 4 of them and that's kind of a lot, but you know what? I would also rather see Vosteed there than something on the pivot. I love this pivot. I like how it's all pretty clean. You know, I'll take some blade markings that small close to the handle to avoid, something on the pivot or something of that nature. So I really like the way they did this. I'm a big fan of it, and the blade is just a huge, huge winner for me. The only thing I would like to have seen that I think would have really improved it for me was to continue this jimping up to just about the top, because I still feel the jimping, it still works for me, but I would really, man, just like right here, up to like where my thumb is ending. I would have loved to have seen jimping continued up that far. It would have really helped with just that extra little bit of grip and tackiness for my thumb, especially when I'm choking up using the choil where my thumb comes all the way up the ramp. But other than that, I really don't have any knocks on this blade. It's a pretty excellent blade. Now going into the handle and ergos, it feels really good in hand. It's not, if anything, maybe I wouldn't mind seeing it be a little wider of a handle for me personally, but it still feels good. I mean, there's no hot spots. Everything is smooth and chamfered. No points anywhere. So not a whole lot of complaints in the ergo department. They're solid. And I like, even with the Topo G10 going on and all the lines and everything, they still put a little milling on the handle, which, you know, it doesn't really like pop, but you see it and it, I don't know, it just works and it looks pretty good. The pivot is nice and simple, and it's got some detail without too much stuff going on. Just aesthetically speaking, it's a really good looking knife. And the wire clip back here is good. It's pretty similar to all wire clips. It's sturdy. There's not much wiggle in it at all. It has very nice retention, and there's nothing, the back here, it doesn't get to be too aggressive or too much of a hot spot. Even when I hold it back here in my hand, this is still nice and soft. The clip part that's pressing into my palm, I don't feel it much. It's not bad. But again, for me, this is it for me. This is the ergos for me. I really, really like this. It feels real good. Just enough of a swell back here to where it still feels, it doesn't feel too thin or too narrow in hand. Overall, it feels very good. And again, I'm going to hit on this again. I'm really surprised at how much I enjoy this Topo G10. You know, I've seen it used on a lot of other models, and it's never really gotten me excited. It's always been one of those things to where I'm like, okay, it's, you know, it's okay. It is for what it is. I'm not going to complain about it, but it's never been something that's like, been like, oh, I really like the way it looks. I want to get one of those because I like that scale material. I've never said that. But I gotta say, this just really works well on this knife. So that's a pleasant surprise. And it feels good. It kind of has, there's no texturing on this, so it is smooth. A lot of times G10 will have a texturing, but this doesn't. And you know what? It still has some level of grip to it, which is kind of hard to explain, but it's not slippery by any means. I wouldn't consider this slippery by any stretch of the imagination. I think it feels just fine in hand, and I have a plenty adequate enough grip. Lastly, on the handle, I really like the texturing on this button. Just like kind of what you have on the Cormorant here. Dr. EDC's carry that over because he obviously knows what works. And I really like that. I think it looks great, but even more importantly, you have a very good, just extra little bit of traction there when you're going to push that button in. So I like that a whole lot. And now the action. And this is where things get very different for a button lock, because a lot of times button locks, like the Malibu, will have more of a detent. Like the Malibu, it actually has a very crisp, great, fantastic detent, as well as the Cormorant. It has a detent that you feel. It's not like a clicky detent, but you do feel it. You know there's a detent there. And I'm not saying that you don't with this, but this is a different type of smooth. A different type, and it sounds different. It's more of a muffled acoustics. The sounds that it comes with, the sounds that it makes. Help me out here, guys. Give me some descriptive words. Put in the comments what I should be saying, because sometimes I get lost in my words. But no, it's a very muffled sound, but it's an extremely, extremely smooth action. It's not guillotine, but it's that buttery smooth to where it still falls shut, but it's not like guillotine shut. It's more like smooth, buttery glide close when you close the button. It is extremely satisfying. And I think it may be a little more satisfying because not every button lock is like this. And I think that has a lot to do with it. But I mean, just watching me just close this so effortlessly, and the longer blade, I think that helps. I love the action on this. And we also want to hit on the lock here, the Trek lock. Now, this is a little harder to see, and I'm not going to do a disassembly on this video because we're already at almost 15 minutes. But I do have something to show you here that we can kind of go over that will help educate you on just what we have here. And I'll hold it here for just a second so you can pause it and read it for yourself. But the Trek lock is unique and it is patent pending, so you're not going to find this on any other knife. And the biggest difference that I've noticed, and this is kind of along the lines of the Cormorant, but instead of the actual bottom base of the button itself going into the side of the blade, it's going right into the blade. There's a complete hole in the blade here, and when the button is out, the full circle of the base of this button is pushed into the blade. That's what locks it. That does provide a more secure lock than other button locks. I'm just going to pull out the first one I have here, the ProTech Malibu. You can tell by looking at it, obviously the whole circle, it's just pressed up into a cutout on the blade, and that's what's holding it back. Now, I've never had an issue with button locks, for the record. I've never had a button lock fail on me. But this one, it does give a more secure lockup because you have 100% of the base into the blade, as opposed to where on other button locks, you're just talking, you know, maybe a quarter of the base at the most pressed up against the blade. Now, another thing that this does, and again, so you saw this page, and here's this page. I'll hold it for you guys to read, and then also kind of just take a look at what they have over there. But what I'm about to hit on is number 3, and that is because due to the distance or the lack thereof from the actual button to the pivot, that's what really helps keep the detent smooth but very functional and very, very secure. I cannot shake this blade out. I mean, maybe if I just absolutely gave everything I had to it and whipped my arm like I was throwing a fastball, maybe. But for all general purposes, this blade is not coming out. It's a very secure detent, even though it feels very smooth. And I don't want to say it feels non-existent, because you do feel resistance and you do feel somewhat of a detent, but it's more of like a prolonged detent as you kick the blade out. Very, very unique, very enjoyable. And again, the middle finger flicking is great. The front flipping is pretty good. I won't say this is my favorite front flipper in the world, but it does work very well, and it is reach around approved. But I am a big fan of just the regular flipper here and the middle finger flick. The middle finger flick is very good on this as well. You're not cracking through that crisp detent, but it's a very satisfying deployment. And you can also do the thumb flick. I'm not a big fan of the thumb flick on this just because of the hole shape and the fact it's a little closer to the handle, but a lot of people could easily do this. I don't think that would be an issue for anyone. And then you could also probably middle finger flick the fuller out here. I just clipped my nails and chewed them down recently, so I can't get into it right now, but I'm sure a lot of people could maybe even get the middle part of your just finger fat down there in the fuller and kick it out that way. But it is an absolute fidget beast. It's a fantastic design, and it's one that I am positive. I'm positive it's going to sell out. I think it's going to sell out rather fast because, one, it looks badass. It has great materials. It's competitively priced, too, because when you look at the prices of other knives of similar quality, similar feel and deployment options and features, we're talking like the Kaiser Cormorant at 119 bucks. We're also talking about the Spyderco Smock at anywhere from, what is it? I think it's around 200-ish right now, maybe even a little more. And then the ProTech Malibu, of course, is coming in around, I think, 225, 220 or something like that, maybe even 230 at this point. So it's very competitively priced, and it also has, going back to my point earlier, it has that feel to where it feels like a $129 knife. I don't have any complaints with the price of this knife for how it feels, the quality, the fit and finish. I gotta say, these bearings don't have a lick of anything other than lubricant in them, because this is incredibly, incredibly smooth for just coming out of the box and being made in, you know, that manufacturing atmosphere that can get a lot of dust and debris in the bearings. This is a winner in just about every aspect, and there's very little I would change on it. And it's a knife I really enjoy, and I gotta say, for 130 bucks, this is easily one of the best knives in that $100 to $150 category this year. Keep your eyes out. click that link below, get on the pre-order, and take a look at that OD green and black wash too. That one these both look fantastic. I think they're both going to sell out pretty quick because they both look great in their own ways. But man, lately that black wash and OD green, that's been speaking to me. But this also speaks to me. This is a winner. The Vosteed Thunderbird, everybody. Let me know what you think. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.